Hey everybody, it's GoblinoX and welcome back to another Zendikar Rising Premiere Draft. I'm going to be completely honest at the start of this video here, I still have no idea what I'm doing. This is my second draft of the format, and the first one on my actual account since the early access event. But Glasspool Mimic looks like a pretty cool rare here. 3 mana for a clone effect. It only copies one of your creatures, so it's not quite as good as clone itself, but it can also be played as a land if, say, your hand doesn't have any creatures, maybe you just got a bunch of removal in it or something. You've got an alternate use for it there, so that seems like a pretty cool card, probably a decently high pick. Thundering Rebuke seems like a really efficient removal, 2 mana for 4 damage. Let's see. Ross's Sproutling can give you some good value in a kicker-heavy deck. Spoils of Adventure can draw a lot of cards. And we got some decent removal at common. I think all these uncommons seem pretty sweet, and the rare's interesting. Thundering Rebuke might be the best card, but I am just going to take the rare here. It's definitely the most interesting of those cards, in my opinion. See what we get in our second pack. Kabir Takedown deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. So decent removal in a creature-heavy deck. It also doubles as a land, which is fine. Sproutling, again, as I said, seems like a good value card. Lol Mage's Familiar, though, seems like a really cool kind of build around. Another card for the kicker deck. That one would solidify us into green-blue as the strategy we'd try to pick up. But I like that. It's a 2/4, so it's pretty good at blocking. Gain 2 life whenever you cast a kicked spell, and it taps for some mana to help you pay those kicker costs, or just any cost, really. Nahiri's Binding does seem like quite good removal, though, in white there. As far as blue, we just have some decent cards. Into the Royal's good, Living Tempest seems good. All these are just fine cards, nothing insane. So probably the white removal spell or like the Lol Mage's Familiar. I am going to roll with the auto-select again. I guess I'll just let Arena draft the deck for me. We'll just go with everything that Arena tells me to pick, because, I don't know, that makes things a little simpler on my end. Either way, I do think Lol Mage's Familiar is a pretty cool, pretty powerful card, so we can try that out. And we could also take Tangled Florahedron and just go for a green-blue ramp kind of deck. Just grab all of the things that can tap for some mana and try to cast some really large cards early. Other than that, we do have a Risen Riptide, which would combo with a kicker kind of strategy. This is a card that becomes a 5/5 every time you kick a spell. So that can get in for a lot of damage very quickly with a lot of kicker abilities, and that's obviously what we would try to do with the Lol Mage's Familiar as well. There is another Nahiri's Binding here, though. 3 mana, enchanted creature or planeswalker can't attack, block, or use its abilities. I feel like that's got to be a pretty high pick. Yeah, that might be it. You know what? Nah. I'm taking Tangled Florahedron, green-blue ramp, because that's the kind of decks I like to play, and hopefully things just work out for us and it's open here. This is definitely not going to be the kind of draft where I'm going to make the best decisions at all times. I highly recommend limited resources, Louis Scott Vargas, Ben Stark. There are some great drafters that have content out there that probably already have a pretty good handle on the format. If you're looking for very smart decisions, I would head to those places. But for me, I'm going to pick stuff that seems fun to me, at least for now, while the format is so fresh. I kind of just want to try things out. Yeah, I've just got that glimmer, that young glimmer in my eyes with the format. It's still totally unsolved to me. I think Call the Ambush seems pretty good. It's a green removal spell. 3 mana for an instant speed ability that lets you have one of your creatures fight a creature you don't control. If you don't need that effect, you can just play that as a land. So that seems pretty good. Cleric of Lifespawn does look like a really good card, but we are solidly not white or black right now. It's kind of like a Johnny's Pridemate, where you get a +1/+1 counter every time you gain life, but with this one you only gain life, or you only get the +1/+1 counter on the first time you gain life each turn. However, this also has a way to gain life attached to it. You will be gaining a life every time you play a Cleric. So it seems like a pretty good card there. The green and blue stuff here does not seem that good. We've got like Scry 2 and draw a card, or we have... This is Zendikar might actually be okay. I suppose Reclaim the Waste is a kicker ability as well. So that could actually combo well with our kicker stuff, and it would allow us to splash an off-color bomb. If we get one of those, if we have like 3 Reclaim the Waste or something, we could even splash something that's like double red. I did do that the first draft that I did. Here we have Vastwood Fortification. Put a +1/+1 counter on a creature or play it as land. Does not seem the greatest. Gnarled Colony seems like a very solid kicker. 2 mana 2/2, or if you kick it, it's a 5 mana 4/4 with Trample. And it also gives all of your creatures with +1/+1 counters Trample. Turn Timber Ascetic does seem like the best, just decent beefy guy, but I do like the versatility of this. Plus the synergy, being able to help us with our kicker effects, like Lil Mage's Familiar. Maybe actually Moss Pit Skeleton here, since we do have a Reclaim the Wastes, and I expect that this card will go pretty late in a lot of the packs. Moss Pit Skeleton is a 2 mana 2/2, or if you kick it, it's a 5 mana 5/5, and whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put onto a creature you control, if it's in your graveyard, you can put it on top if you want. You don't have to do that, so it seems like a pretty decent card there. And a lot of the kicker effects on creatures I expect will have to do with +1/+1 counters, like on Gnarled Colony and Moss Pit Skeleton here, so that might be a decent splash in a green-blue dedicated kicker deck. We got some white cards that care about having a lot of creatures, some red aggressive stuff, a completely mediocre black creature, just a filler card there. So I guess Adventure Awaits or Murasa Brute. We have a 3 mana 3/3 with no abilities, or a 2 mana spell. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature, put it into your hand, put the rest on bottom in a random order, and if you didn't get a creature, you get to draw a card instead. I mean, that seems weird. I guess I'll just take the 3 mana 3/3. I should probably have just tried out the Adventure Awaits, because that's the kind of card I'm not 100% sure how good that's going to be until I've played it a few times. Whereas a 3 mana 3/3, I mean, that is straight up filler. And I already know how good a 3 mana 3/3 is. They've been around forever. So we have Broken Wings, but this is a Premier draft, so all the games are best of 1. So I'm mildly worried about main decking one of those. I guess you could main deck one, I just wouldn't like to main deck a whole stack of them, because being able to kill an artifact or enchantment or flyer, I feel like that will almost always have a target. White has the enchantment-based removal that we've seen. There are a lot of decent playable equipment. I kind of want the Flash Flyer here. I definitely want to pick up some big stuff, because I've got multiple ramp cards. I've got 2 creatures that ramp, and I have a Reclaim the Wastes to grab more lands to my hand. Anyways, as I was saying, the more I think about it, there actually do seem to be probably a lot of targets for the green instant Broken Wings spell. I guess I could take Hagra Constrictor, and that's probably what I'm most likely to play. That blue instant, oh wow, Cleric of Life's Bond with only 2 cards left in the pack, and the other one's not even that bad, I don't think. Flying Lifelinker, it's a little expensive for the cost, but yeah, both of those seem like good cards for a white-black Cleric kind of life gain deck, so that seems really open. So we'll keep that in mind, but not super likely to just jump ship here, especially if I get a Mythic Rare with Kicker. However, this one really cares about instants and sorceries. When it enters the battlefield, copy the next instant or sorcery you cast with convert mana cost 2 or less. If you kick it, copy it twice instead. So it's good with instant or sorcery-based removal, but in a green-blue deck, that's very unlikely to be what we have. I guess we do have a Colony Ambush that we could double up, but that doesn't work too well since the creatures have to fight to do that. So if we're fighting with something twice, our creature's probably dying. It would be really good with a Rabid Bite, but I don't have a Rabid Bite in my deck yet, and I highly doubt I will wheel this Rabid Bite, but I'll keep an eye out for that. I'm not going to not take the on-color Mythic Rare this early in the format. However, this card definitely does not seem super powerful in our specific strategy. This seems definitely strongest in like blue-red Wizards, where you could have a 2 mana deal 4 damage to something spell like we saw in our first pack. Now we do have a Landfall Cat, 2/1 trample, and it gets a +1/+1 counter every time you landfall. That seems decent. These blue cards are pretty whatever, and that's basically it on color in this pack. There's spare supplies as well. I think if I were smart here, I think we could have been in a really good position to draft a white-black deck if I had moved on to those Nahiri's bindings and then saw that Cleric late in that last pack. Because, like, here's another Nahiri's binding here, and I'm actually just going to take that because nothing in green or blue seemed exciting at all there. We are very unlikely to be able to just jump ship and move into white-black here, but I could have stayed more open in that first pack for sure, and probably should have. However, we'll get a nice kicker payoff here. 5 mana for a 4/4 flyer is already a great limited card, and whenever you cast a kicked spell, you get to scry 2. So it works with the kicker synergies, and it's a big, bomby thing to try to ramp into. So I will definitely take the Merfolk Falconer there. Now, what do we have? These cards do not seem that crazy. Spare Supplies. I mean, Spare Supplies seems like a decent filler card you can put in any deck. Vastwood Surge. Search for 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So at worst, it is an Explosive Vegetation. That was an old card that did just that part. Just 4 mana sorcery, you grab 2 lands, put them into play tapped. However, this one also, if you manage to have 8 mana, you can kick it and put 2+1/+1 counters on all your creatures. That's not the most doable kicker ability, but I was also trying to do some kind of green-blue rampy thing at the start here, so we could take another ramp spell, and then we are really ready to start picking up a lot more hefty cost cards. Out of this pack, though, I'll probably just take the Into the Royal. This is a 2-mana instant to return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand, or, if you kick it, it's 4 mana to return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand and draw a card. There's just a lot of decent things you can do with an unsummon effect. You can obviously slow down your opponent. You could blank one of their aura spells if you bounce something they're trying to equip. You could actually even just use it on your own thing if they have some kind of negative aura on your creature. So we've got a 4-mana 3/2 flyer. When it dies, if you control another wizard, you get to draw a card. We have a 4-mana 3/2 that just draws a card when it comes to play, no matter what. And then we have this weird Zendikar thing. 4 mana to turn a land into a 4/4 reach haste. I really don't know. I'm going to try out this Zendikar. This does not seem that bad. With the Zendikar kind of cards, you basically treat them as if they're a creature that costs 1 more than that. So it's basically a 5 mana 4/4 reach. I guess that's a little mediocre, but I did really like the Sage in the core set recently that was 5 mana 4/4 reach. However, that one, if you drew an additional card during your turn, it would get to attack with Vigilance, I believe. Excuse me. So it had like more abilities than that. This is just everything off color now. Just take a random flyer. Another Cleric of Life's Bond. That deck was so open. Alright. That's okay. Reclaim the Wastes it is. Those little 2-mana 3/2 squids are probably pretty decent. I have been passing a lot of those up just for various rampy things. So I just thought I would mention that there. They don't look that bad. It's just there's some other cards in those packs that I prefer a little bit this early in the format. Now we're just scooping up all of the garbage that is wheeling around at the end. Actually, I had Dreadworm in my first draft, and I thought that guy was actually pretty good for a common. Throne of Makindi. It is a rare land. You put charge counters on it, or you can tap it and remove a charge counter from it to add 2 mana of any one color. Spend it only to cast kicked spells? Hey! That is a kicker land right there. It helps us splash off-color kicker cards, too. Might as well. It's a rare for the collection. It works with the deck. Sure, it's just a land, but that's pretty neat. Iridescent Hornbeetle. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 insect for each +1/+1 counter you've put on under creatures you control this turn. That would be a really cool card to wheel, because I do have a little bit of +1/+1 counters with like Vastwood Surge, with Gnarlid Colony. Ooh. A blue rare. Nibble Trap Finder. 2 mana for a a 2/1, can't be blocked if you had a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard enter the battlefield under your control this turn. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, creatures you control gain whenever this deals combat damage to a player, draw a card on the turn. I don't think I'm ever going to have a full party. Let's see. We've got one wizard, a rogue, a warrior, a rogue. I guess it's possible. It's highly unlikely, though, because I've got a lot of just random, like, beast, elemental, beast, snake. I'm probably not playing the snake, but I digress. I don't think I'll be doing that. I'm actually just going to take this Wind Rider Wizard instead. 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard spell, draw a card and discard a card. That just seems pretty good without even needing a lot of work, because just a 3 mana 2/2 flyer is fine, and our deck already has a decent amount of instants and sorceries. We got stuff like Reclaim the Wastes, Into the Royal, the Fight spell. This pack's pretty empty. I suppose we can take a 1 mana 1/1 Death Touch. That can trade up into something big, or we could just take the rare for the collection, because that doesn't help our deck a whole lot. Doesn't make our deck all that much better. I'm just gonna rare draft here. It is what it is. Let's just be honest on that one. That's a straight up rare draft. I take a Dauntless Survivor, have a little bit more +1 counter synergies. It's also a warrior, so it works with party interested stuff too, but I don't think we actually took any party cards. We saw the one, but we decided not to take that. Yeah, we have nothing that cares about parties. Maybe it's just this Bane Veil thing, so I can just play that instead of a 17th land. That was actually a good point that the auto picker had there, that I kind of didn't even acknowledge. It was suggesting to take the black removal spell, because it's only 1 black mana. We have double Reclaim the Wastes. We already have a Moss Pit Skeleton we're splashing in, so it wouldn't be that hard to just splash in that off-color removal spell, because it's really good. I mean, 5 mana instant speed, destroy a creature or planeswalker, and it's cheaper for each creature in your party, which I think should happen a decent amount. Like, a decent amount of time we should have, like, at least 1 creature in a party. I'm just going to take this Salundi Vision now. It is a land, or you can look at the top 6, reveal an instant or sorcery, put it into your hand, and then put them on bottom. So it seems decent. Grab a removal spell out of the top. We don't have a ton right now, but we've got a good amount of instants and sorceries to not whiff too often. I guess I'll just grab another one of those. I could take that Broken Wings thing now. Destroy an artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Should usually have a target. That's quite a few different things it could kill. Or we could just take a squid. I do have a lot at 2 mana now. I guess not a ton. I'm just going to take a squid. Oh, Cleric of Life's Bond again! We could have like a 4 Cleric of Life's Bond deck. Ooh, that's super embarrassing. Alright, we've got a good amount of ramp. We have Reclaim the Wastes. We have all these spells that we can play as lands too. We should be able to consistently, easily hit 5 mana. I'm just going to grab the 5 mana 5/4 that gains some life, because we're very late in the draft here, and I have things that can ramp up into big stuff, and I don't have very much big stuff to ramp into, so at this point we're really hurting for just like a 5 mana 5/4. It's certainly not that exciting, but it's what our deck is kind of missing in a while. This Nahiri's Binding, super late too. Pick 10, a 3 mana unconditional removal spell that can also hit planeswalkers. Yeah, I think white-black was definitely super open. See, both of these are clerics, too. These are both kind of mediocre clerics, but they're clerics nonetheless. You can try out an Adventure Awaits here. I don't know, these are both whatever. Alright. This is a 43 card deck with 17 lands in it, but we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that we can choose to play as lands instead, and 2 cards that search for lands. So with 6 cards we can play as lands instead, I think we're okay to just cut 3 lands, and then we can run a, how many would that be? 14 land deck with 6 cards that, worst case scenario, we just play those as lands instead. That seems super fine. I'm definitely going to cut a swamp. I only need the one swamp because with double Reclaim the Wastes, I've got ways to search it up for our one Moss Pit skeleton. We also have the Vastwood Surge can search up a swamp as well. And actually, Throne of Makindi works as a black source for our only black card as well, because our black card is a card that we're trying to kick. So because we'll be paying a kicked spell with it, we can actually use that, the ability to remove a charge counter and add mana of any color. I do have double Reclaim the Wastes at 1 mana, so I'm a little more concerned with having green mana than blue mana, just because our green mana can grab our blue mana in certain situations. So I am going to cut Island first there. Question is, do I cut an even amount or do I cut another island? I have 3 cards that I can play as forests if need be, and I have 3 cards I can play as islands if need be. This is a pretty close one. I think I just cut another island, probably. I could also cut the Throne of Makindi, I guess, because the only thing it's actually like really helping cast is Moss Pit Skeleton, but it could also ramp out like a Vastwood Surge early, because we can tap it for 2 mana along with all of our other lands. Yeah, I think I want to keep the Throne in there. I rare drafted that thing, but it like sort of fit the deck, so we gotta play with it. I'll just cut another island there. And let's see what kind of special lands I have now. I've only done 1 Zendikar draft on this account right now, so I don't actually know which Zendikar land I have. I was not paying attention. Looks like we have the Zendikar Swamp, so our 1 swamp can be from Zendikar, and then just to match it, we will pick the Hour of Devastation lands for the other colors, because I don't really want to have non-full arts and then 1 full art. That would be kind of weird. And mix-matched, or whatever you want to call it. Alright, well, that's going to do it for this deck. We're kind of a blue-green kicker ramp deck, splashing in a Moss Pit Skeleton. Don't know how I feel about it, as usual. I'll know how I feel once I've lost all 3 rounds, however many wins I get on the way to that. But without further ado, let's get into some gameplay. Alright, here we go. We have no green mana, but Adventure Waits isn't something we really need to cast, and Kazandu Stomper isn't till turn 6 that we need that green mana. I mean, all of our blue cards are not that interesting either, though. And this is probably a mulligan. Our blue cards aren't doing a whole lot by themselves. This can be a keep. I can play Salinity Vision as my first land. Then I have blue and green. I could also just wait and play Reclaim the Waste for an island, so I can cast Salinity Vision later. I also have Adventure Waits to draw a card out. I can keep this. And then I'll get rid of... Into the Royal could slow down an opponent, but Living Tempest is my only creature right now. Maybe I actually just get rid of a forest and play this as an island. Wait on Reclaim the Wastes until... Yeah. I'm going to wait on the Reclaim the Waste. I'll play this as a tapped island first. And if I draw more lands, I'll wait to kick this. And if I don't, I guess I can just play this as a land. Like, play this for 1 island instead of kicking it for more. We also did draw into our Tangled Florahedron on turn 2, so that'll just give us another mana right there. So we'll have 3 mana on turn 3. I guess we would also have had 3 mana on turn 3 if I just cast Reclaim the Waste without kicking it. But this way I have 3 mana, I just need to draw 1 more land to be able to kick this. That would be the big downside of this play. If they vanquish my Florahedron, if they killed it with anything, I am just stuck on mana this turn. I don't get to cast my Windrider Wizard. Which actually is a pretty big downside, because the Windrider Wizard would have been super nice here. Because a 2/2 flyer obviously very easily blocks a 1/1 flyer. I do have the mana for Into the Royal, though, at least. So that's cool. If they try to throw any auras or anything on it, I guess I'll bounce it. Looks like no bouncing is going to happen here. We're just going to take that 1, let him gain another life. Drew another Salundi Vision. Actually just going to play that as a land, because even with this out, I'm still 1 mana away from Living Tempest. So we'll cast the Wind Rider Wizard there. Hopefully just get them to stop attacking with the flyer at least. We will take 3 here from the ground creature though. If I get another mana, I can also kick the Moss Pit Skeleton. That will come out as a 5/5 and hold back the Jiraga Visionary. 5 cards in hand for our opponent, and one of them is another Vanquish the Weak. Sad day for our Florahedron and our Wind Rider Wizard. I'm still 1 mana off from the 5 mana spells, of which I have 3. I don't actually have to cast these as 5, but a 4/4 and a 5/5 are far more impressive than a couple 2/2s. So I suppose in this situation, do I just save up for Into the Royal again and just take 4? And I can kick an Into the Royal, so I'll be drawing a card during my opponent's turn, and drawing on my next turn. I can also just Adventure Awaits to try to draw a card right now and draw a land that way. Oh boy. Not a huge fan of the position I'm in. Because neither of these creatures are things that I would want to bounce with Into the Royal. If I bounce that, they get to kick it and send it back out. If I bounce that, they get to play it and draw another card. This feels bad. I think I'm actually just casting Gnarlid Colony as a 2/2. That way I get them to stop attacking with the 3/2, or they have to spend a removal on it. Well, this is suspicious, but I have an Into the Royal just in case. Okay, looks like nothing. No combat tricks there. But another creature, Canopy Baloth here. I can't Into the Royal that right now. This is one of those where I'd love to know what's on top of my deck, because if the top of my deck is a land, I should Into the Royal right now. But if it's not a land, I'm going to really want to have kicked this instead to draw another card, so I'll just wait. It was a land, so it would have been really nice to have that in their hand immediately. I'm just going to pass here, flash in the Living Tempest, and try to kill the Ghastly Gloom Hunter that way. They are black-green, though. We've already seen them present multiple Vanquish the Weeks, so if they have another one, that'll be pretty sad. Otherwise, though, it should be nice to get that pesky flyer out of the way. We will be taking some more damage to the face from the Baloth, but I'll have an Into the Royal up next turn. Or we can just play a 5/5 and trade off. So here's Living Tempest. I don't like that it's stopping for our opponent. Oh boy. Alright, Deadly Alliance is going to kill that. So even if we just played like a Moss Pit Skeleton there, it would have died. I can play a Falconer right now to block the flyer, but then I can't block the ground creature with that. I could save for Into the Royal, in which case I'm guaranteed just taking 1 here and then they just play it again anyway. I think I just play the Moss Pit Skeleton and hope for the best. No more removal. If they just play a land here, we trade with Canopy Baloth and go to 5 life. Taking 1 damage from Ghastly Gloom Hunter. I love how Adventure Awaits. It's just been sitting here all game. Apparently, Adventure does not await. Adventure can just sit there and wait for another game. Because I still think I'm pretty far from casting it. I'm probably just casting Falconer next turn. Oh, that's awful. So we were just dead that whole time. I don't know what took them so long there. They just had a removal. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. So we would have survived if we just sat there and cast Into the Royal instead, but that wouldn't have led us to a winning position anyway. Because then they literally just replay the Canopy Baloth instead of anything else, and then I play Moss Pit Skeleton on my next turn instead, in which case they just kill it on that turn. So I don't think that the last couple turns was like a mistake there, but there could have been definitely some mistakes early that I missed that could have led us to a better position. I do think our opponent's deck was also just really nice. They definitely drafted that pretty well. Lots of removal with the threats to back it up, make it a winning position. Okay. Well, we have a lot of lands here, if we count these, so I think this hand's super keepable. Probably not even going to try to play these lands. Just try to play Tangled Florahedron on turn 2 again. On turn 3, I could even just play Seagate Stormcaller and then double Reclaim the Wastes. That's an option. Don't think it's the greatest option, but it is an option. Kazandu Stomper is really cool if you have a deck with a lot of flip cards like this, because if you end up having to play these as lands in the early game, once you hit the late game, you get to use this to bounce them back, and then you can play them as spells. So that's pretty cool synergy that our hand has supplied us with. We may try to get some work going with that later on. If I just draw a bunch of lands, that won't really happen, but yeah, I think I'm just going to Reclaim the Wastes here. And we're definitely just never going to play anything as a land, because now we are just loaded on mana. Is our opponent stuck on 2? Looks like our opponent might be stuck on 2 mana here, which is pretty unfortunate. Lucky for them, though, our hand is not very fast at all. Cost 5 to kick that? I can Glasspool Mimic and make a copy of Florahedron? I think I just wait for Stomper. I don't think a 2-1 really changes anything right now. Alright, here's the plan. Kazandu Stomper. Not going to return any lands because we've got 2 more in hand anyway if we had any landfall triggers, and I don't actually think we have any landfall cards in this deck, period. Hopefully they don't have removal. But they kept a 2-lander, so I have to assume they have some spicy stuff in there. Would not be surprised if they blank our Glasspool Mimic here. Make our clone much less exciting. Ooh, they just cast a Risen Riptide, only 1 mana up. I think that means we're safe to Glasspool Mimic, and I'm going to do it right now, just as soon as possible, before they do anything to try to kill our Kazandu Stomper. We'll have 1 mana of every color up, so we can Calm the Ambush at instant speed if need be. And I'll just pass the turn. I like holding up Calm the Ambush for whatever their play is this turn. If it doesn't have 5 power, we can kill it without losing a creature. Bubble Snare. Alright. That is a removal spell that we can use Into the Royal on, though. So if we draw Into the Royal, we could bounce our Kazandu Stomper back to our hand and draw a card. That would be very spicy. Valaged Recovery is the draw. Right now our graveyard is just a card that grabs more lands, so we don't really want to use that yet. However, thanks to our Mimic, we've got another 6/5 Trampler, so we've still got threats on board. So send them in. And I guess, do I have enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 mana, so I can spend 5 to cast a Gnarlid Colony as a 4/4, and save 3 mana up for Calm the Ambush at instant speed thanks to Florahedron. This card is so adorable. It's ridiculous. Looks like our opponent's just scooping them up there. Maybe they had some double blue cards in their hands, so they were just really stuck on mana, but I'm not 100% for sure what was going on there. They kept a 2-lander at the start, which would make me think that the rest of their hand was really good, but then they only cast like 2 spells that game after they had 4 or 5 mana at the end. So kind of a weird game. My opponent was definitely suffering from some kind of unluck. I'm just not exactly sure what the game plan was with whatever they kept, since we didn't get to see it, really. Alright. Heading into our third game, 1-1. I'm gonna keep this. This is a hand where I'm pretty likely to reclaim the wastes here. Yep, if we draw just a non-land, I'm definitely just gonna turn one, reclaim the wastes. Grab our swamp. That will make sure that we have 3 mana in hand so we can hit our Lull Mage's Familiar. If we can hit our Lull Mage's Familiar, then we'll have 4 mana on board. Only 1 away from kicking a Gnarlid Colony. Play our island now, get our squid out. Our opponent did start with a Tangled Florahedron of their own, so they can ramp up here. They did have a double-faced land, a Zoth Consumption, played as a Zoth Bloodbog. What on earth is this? 2 mana, 2/1 Menace Lifelink, and that's it. Okay. That's pretty dang good. Wow. Yeah, both halves of that card are really good. 2 mana for a 2/1 Menace Lifelink is super spicy. But so is 6 mana to get that and return a creature from grave to field. If I attack in, I'm just going to trade with the Null Priest if they block. So I think I'm just going to not attack. That way I can just trade with the Null Priest on blocks instead if they don't have removal. They do have removal, which means Null Priest is going to get in anyway. Probably should have attacked there. I should have assumed, based on how my first match against a green-black deck went, that this deck is also probably going to have a good amount of removal. Alright, well, I've got 4 mana. 1 mana off from kicking Gnarlid Colony as a 4/4. I wish it was Gnarlid Carl. That would be hilarious. Okay, well, I'm not in a great spot here. I think I'll just I'll just attack and cast a Salundi Vision during their turn. It would be really cool if they try to use a removal spell on our squid, because then we can fight in response. But that's very unlikely to happen. I don't think they need to kill the squid. They are winning the race. They're gaining 2 life every turn and then taking 3, so they're basically taking 1 a turn, and I'm taking 2 a turn. Alright, there's Jiraga Visionary. So I'll go ahead and Salundi Vision now. What do we got? Ooh, we have options. Balagad Recovery could bring back our Null Mage's Familiar, which is cool. Vastwood Surge could grab some more lands, or in the very late game, it could put 2 counters on all our stuff. Or Reclaim the Wastes could just grab 2 lands. What is in our graveyard? Is it just that? No, it's Reclaim the Wastes and Lull Mage's Familiar. So I get Lull Mage's Familiar for 6 mana, or grab 2 lands. Next turn I'm just casting Gnarlid Colony. I think I actually do want Balagad Recovery, because I'm still quite a ways from the 8 mana to put extra counters on my things, and 2 more lands here doesn't do a lot. With the curve going as it is, if I draw 1 more land, I get to kick a Gnarlid Colony this turn, and then next turn I can Balagad Recovery my 2/4 and just play it by itself. They probably have another removal spell, but if I attack, I'm just trading my 3/2 for their 3/2. Just gonna wait. I might be able to trade with something better here if they don't have removal and they choose to attack with the Null Priest. I'd rather trade for that than the Jiraga Visionary. Ooh, if they turn it into a 4/3, I don't get to trade. Actually, yeah, I do. I'm an idiot. Never mind. But I don't get to kill both their attackers if they send both in, simply because of the menace. I will just trade with the squid, though. I could not do mate. Hey, squid's back. Yeah, I'll just wait on Balagad Recovery then and play a squid. I could ambush the menace creature or play a 3/3. I think I'm getting to a point where I can have enough creatures out that I'm not really scared of the menace. So just actually send in with my 4/4. The only way they kill it is if we trade my 1 creature for 2 of theirs. The only creature I'm worried about attacking here is the menace one. No removal means that that's not going to happen. The landfall creature is definitely going to be the scariest one over the course of this game. It is already a 3/2 trample. It only needs 2 more lands to be able to outclass my 3/3 and make me double block it. They're just going to send in. Alright, I will trade my squid for that. Okay. At 6 mana now, so I'm 2 mana away from kicking that other spell if I had picked that instead. I do have enough mana to just play the Lull Mage thing here, though. I'm not really getting to attack in on this field at this point. Territorial thing is very scary. Maybe I actually just ambush that right now. I could double ambush, which I may as well do. So I can choose new targets? Yeah, I can choose new targets. Oh, it only copies 2 or less. Oh, I need to wait. I would have to kick that to copy anything, which would cost 7 mana? Okay. So I can't actually double my call in the ambush with that. So if I'm ambushing, I'm just killing that one thing. Well, this is kind of just a 2 mana 2/1 in this deck. Wow, I did not... Yeah, did not realize that until now. That's embarrassing. So, probably should have just put that on the field a while ago. Definitely the last game where I had it, I think it was just sitting in my hand all game. Can copy Reclaim the Wastes, though, so I have things to copy with it. Opponent got a Lotus Cobra, which is really cool. That's going to be a really fun card to play with. In Constructed, in Standard, and Brawl. What? I will take it. I don't know what happened there, but I'll take it. I didn't feel like I was in the winning position there. But, maybe I was. I don't know. I, of course, have no idea what's in my opponent's deck or their hand or anything, so... That could have been just a personal thing. Maybe they had to go make sure they got their PS5 pre-order in. Or something. With all the craziness around that right now. I actually... That kind of, that cut into my early access time a lot. I was planning on just recording a bunch of drafts during early access, but then I totally forgot that it was the PS5 showcase event. I do have other hobbies than Magic. I am a huge video gamer. So I was like, oh no, I gotta tune in for that. So I went and watched that, and then all the pre-orders started going live everywhere, so I was freaking out about that, trying to get one in. So my day was sidetracked by other hobbies there. So that is why we are not posting any more early access drafts here. This is a full-on, real, actual, my account draft. So there will be rare drafting. Believe you me. Alright, I'm gonna grab my Swamp. This confirms that I have 3 mana by the time I need it for Marasa Brute. If I draw 1 more land anytime soon, I will hold on to this Reclaim the Wastes till I hit 4 mana, and I did. So I'm just gonna hold on to that. Save it for the kicker. Because I now have enough for the kicker. I've got all 4 mana ready. In hand, that is. Ooh, Core Blade Master. 1/1 double strike. Equipped warriors you control have double strike. That's terrifying. There are some powerful equipment spells in this set. I think the design of a lot of the equipment in the set is pretty interesting too. A lot of it, or all of it, I'm not sure, when it comes into play, it just comes into play and immediately attaches to a creature. And there's also colored equipment. There's like a red equipment spell and a white equipment spell, I think. It's pretty interesting the way they've done equipment this time around. I will go ahead and reclaim the wastes. Definitely going to grab an island so I can hit my double blue spells. I already have 3 forests and I have my 1 swamp, so I might as well just grab 2 islands here, I guess. No attacks. We are against a red-white warriors deck, so probably trying to block things. Oh, there's the red equipment. +2, +0, and it costs 3 to equip, or alternatively just immediately equips when you play it. Oh, it's got double strike because of the Blade Master. Oh my god, that's insane. 6 power double striker here? I don't know how I could possibly beat this deck unless I draw my Colony Ambush. Oh my god. Yeah, this is just unbeatable without removal right now. Oh no. Oh, I'm really gonna get got by that. That's crazy. Well, this is gonna be a cool way to lose, but I'm certainly losing here. So I can kick a Gnarlid Colony, and then I have 7 total toughness, which means if they don't have any pump spells, if I double block Expedition Champion, they get to do 6 damage in first strike, but then I kill it in the second combat. If they have an instant speed combat trick or an instant speed burn spell, I just lose this game on the spot, but I also lose this game on the spot if I don't block that. So my only other option is to chump block that and take 1 there. Or I could chump block that and try to block that one. Are they going to do lethal here? How does that have double strike? Does it naturally have double strike? What? I can't read the card at this point. I thought that... Oh. Well. Either way, I didn't know the pump spell was in there. So I would have gotten absolutely hosed either way. If I just blocked 1 on each, they would have just both been chump blocks, then I have no creatures on board against that. Then I just play 1 more creature and chump block again. That was just a... That was a fantastic start. I was guaranteed to lose that game. I don't think that that start was unbeatable by any means. I just think that my deck does not have very much removal at all. And removal would have been the best way to counteract that strategy. You just got to kill that 1/1 thing immediately. Turn off the double strike, because that was insane. Alright. I do have 3 lands here. I've got a squid turn 2. Then I've got some 5 mana stuff, and I have a black card. I've got 3 mana and 2 5 mana cards. This is probably a mulligan. It's pretty awkward. I'll keep this one. Get rid of the Living Tempest. Plan to play Gnarlid Colony turn 5 and Kazandu Stomper turn 6. That way I can return any of my land spells that I had to play in the early game, like Balaged Recovery. I'm just going to play that immediately, because I know I want to hit 6 mana this game, so I'm very unlikely to just draw 3 lands in the next 3 turns. See, we've already drawn a not land there. I guess it is a land, it is a tapped land, but you know what I mean. Kind of want to just play it, because my opponent is on some kind of fast deck. Red-green landfall. Oh, I can't even block that anyway. Alright, I'll just throw a charge counter onto the Throne of Makindi then. May have been better to just play Solemn Vision as a tapped land there, but Throne of Makindi is fine as well, because we do want to spend some time putting some charge counters on it at some point. Okay. That was weird. I thought that that whole thing was over, because that was the other thing. On the launch date of Zendikar Rising, there were a lot of server issues and stuff. But it's been a day now, so I thought that was all fixed. Apparently not quite. So we'll throw a counter onto that Throne of Makindi, so that we can play Gnarlid Colony a turn sooner. So I could actually just play Windrider Wizard right now, and then Gnarlid Colony the turn after that. That would be pretty cool. I'm not in a fantastic position here because both of their creatures attack as a 3/3, and my only creature I have out right now is a 2/2. Does not help a lot. But it's something. Oh, I can't block that anyway, because I have power 2 or less. Opponent's got the America sleeves. I think the only time I've ever seen these kind of sleeves was during the, like, a daily deal at some point. So those sleeves are pretty rare, all of the country sleeves. Anyways, I'm just mentioning that to to take the focus off of the fact that I'm about to get absolutely demolished here, because they definitely have a removal spell ready at this point. Have to assume here comes like the 2 mana 4 damage to something, kill the Gnarlid colony and attack in for just about lethal. At least my Windrider Wizard does get to trade for something now. No attacks. Alright, well I don't have anything castable here, so I may as well Celundi Vision and use Windrider Wizard's ability to draw a card and then discard a card. Because I've got plenty of lands to discard now. Plenty lands to discard. I guess I get to Reclaim the Wastes. These would all have been decent draws, but I can draw them later, it's fine. I'll wait to cast that till I can kick it, because at this point I'm just using it to thin my deck. I have way more than enough lands right now already. I guess I only have 1 more than enough. There's the removal. Alright. That's not quite lethal, but... Actually, what is this land? Azul's Fury? So it is a spell. I should probably trade with the Wayward Guide Beast. So they cannot bring back their spells to hand. I'm very dead. I do get to play Kazandu Stomper, but I can only block one of their creatures, so I block their 3/3 and I take 3, even if they don't play a land this turn. That's another thing. When everybody first saw Wayward Guide Beast, everybody was talking about how it was just such a huge downside it would never see play. But after playing a little bit of Limited in the set, it's actually really cool how that can work as an upside in the right deck. Like in an aggressive red deck with a lot of the double-faced cards that are a land or a spell, that could be really interesting. Because then you're just like drawing a card every time it hits your opponent instead, if you're just picking up things that you played as lands before. Alright, well, not the worst run ever. We did get 2 wins and 3 losses here. Definitely worse than the first run. I think I definitely said it during the drafting process there, but I think if I was a lot more open to shifting, that is one of my biggest problems when I draft, is not being open to changing from like my first picks and stuff. If I were more open, I would have definitely moved into white in that first pack, and then near the end of the pack, when I saw like those clerics going really late, I probably could have pivoted into white-black, because that felt like the deck that would have been the most open there. We probably could have had something pretty good there. Instead, we ended up with a little bit of a mediocre green-blue ramp deck. It was fun, but it did not have enough removal, certainly, as we saw in our second-to-last game, and it didn't have a whole bunch going on at the late end. So, just an average to mediocre, I guess those mean the same thing. Mediocre sounds worse, though, so just a mediocre green-blue kind of deck there. Definitely could have drafted better, but I definitely had fun in the draft. I hope you all enjoyed the video as well. If you want to see more content, make sure to subscribe to know when my next videos are coming out, and I will see you all again very soon for some more Magic Arena content. Thanks for watching.